Real talk from the hot seat. This is Margins and Mandates. Welcome to Margins and Mandates, the show where plays, pivots, and pressure tested leadership take center stage. I'm Jeff Lortz, former CEO, advisor, and host of this no fluff conversation with operators who know what it takes to lead, grow, and deliver. Each episode, I sit down with executives and advisors who've made the tough calls and built real time momentum through uncertainty, shifting markets, and sky high expectations. Brought to you by the Agile Operator Playbook, on the blog, in the field, and now in your ears. Let's get into it. Our guest today is Michelle Katz. Michelle is marketing and operations leader with over a decade experience across B2B SaaS, professional associations, and enterprise services. She currently serves as director of marketing at Firm Prospects, a data intelligence platform for legal professionals that delivers data-driven insights to support smarter hiring, networking, and market analysis. In this role, she leads demand generation, digital strategy, and multi-channel campaigns. Michelle also serves as executive director of the Boston chapter of Financial Executives International, overseeing day-to-day operations, event strategy, membership growth, and board reporting. Michelle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I appreciate you being an early adopter / guinea pig of the podcast. So you're very brave for doing that. It says something about your character, your willingness to try new things and be a pioneer. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, let's start by talking a little bit about your company, Firm Prospects. Tell me, give me some background on what you guys do, who you sell to, and what your role is there.
Yeah, so we're a data-driven intelligence platform, very specifically for the legal professional market. So we are, providing all kinds of data, firm research, attorney profiles, stuff like that, to law firms, search firms, legal hiring search firms. It's very heavy on the hiring market, and we also have accounts like attorneys can sign on for free. Law students, we work with law schools, so really runs the gamut of the legal profession.
Okay. So is it fair? So it's a B2C and a B2B platform then?
Yes.
Okay. So as a marketer, you're having to sort of divide your marketing approach, kind of context switching between B2C and B2B.
Right. And that's for me. Previously I was more in that B2B role, and that's kind of heavily where I've been concentrated. So it is a little bit of a shift to go to that B2C. The good news is, those accounts for attorneys and law students, they're free. So it's not like we have a big ask from them. So that's kind of nice to dip your toes in.
Right. But I assume having a heavy participation on the B2C side helps you, helps with credibility, right, in your B2B pursuits.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So so tell me about your role and the organization of it.
Yeah, sure. I'm the director of marketing. So it's a small company, a startup. So as you can imagine, it's a marketing party of one. So I do wear, several different hats, lead generation, graphic design, social media, content. It's, whatever there is, that's me.
Interesting. So multi-talented. Do you use a lot of external resources, right, in your day-to-day to get work done?
External, yeah. I mean, in terms of tools, yes. I don't personally contract a lot of people at this time. It is on my plan for the year. But yeah, I mean, I rely heavily on things that make my life easier. Like I'm a graphic designer, so I have robust tools like Adobe Suite, which I use for meatier pieces like reports, stuff like that. But when I need to just get posts out stuff and I need graphics, I'll use Canva because you just pick a template and you're done. AI has been a huge help because it's like I said, it's party of one. So I'm coming up with a marketing plan, and some of these things you're just at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. And it just helps you kind of organize your thoughts. So in terms of AI and that sort of thing, I absolutely rely on it.
And how is your go-to-market organized? So is it all direct sales? Are you sort of the demand gen, party of one, or do you participate with a sales team in driving leads?
Yeah, we do have a sales team. We have Jeff Mooney, who's our VP of sales. He's fantastic. He focuses on the law firms and the law schools. And then
Okay.
Nate Patel is our director of sales, and he focuses on the legal search firms. So it's sort of the three of us with our CEO. That makes up the go-to-market team.
Interesting. And then the pipeline is generated mostly through what types of activities?
It's mostly content, and because we have such great data, and it's verified by human people, it's clean, it's accurate. We really highlight that. Like, these are the things you can find connections that you already know. If you're looking for this job, it'll show you the people you're connected with. So it'll make it easier if you want to do a warm introduction, or if you just want intel on somebody you might be thinking of hiring if you're at a firm. So there's so much good data in there. That's really what we try to highlight and show people. Like, this is how this will make your life easier. This will improve your process. So the data really speaks for itself.
Interesting. So selling to higher ed, right, is a challenge, right? It has its own challenges.
Yeah.
I don't know really about selling to search firms and law firms. Like who are the buyer personas, right, in those organizations?
Yeah. Well, the search firms, they normally, I mean, there are big search firms, but a lot of them are really small. Sometimes it's just a sole proprietor, or they have a very small team. So it's usually that business owner. And they are very motivated to find tools that are going to help them, find people and put them into roles faster. So that's sort of the search firm. Law firms are different because there are different personas within the company. There could be a COO that needs just research, or the hiring manager definitely uses us, but also business development and marketing. They can come up with marketing intelligence, look at competitors, stuff like that. So with the law firms, it's much more varied, I would say, because they have different needs, within the firm. So
they also have their organization structures differ by size quite a bit as well, I would imagine. So there must be an ideal customer profile on the law firm side, like below a certain size probably isn't right a prospect for you. Do you have sort of a cutoff, and how do you define that?
Yeah, we don't really go for the small, like the really, really small ones. I'm not sure exactly what the number is that we target, but we don't really go after like personal injury. There are certain firms that we don't think would really benefit from our data, and so we don't really pursue those.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we first met, you talked a lot about sort of network marketing as a primary way of driving pipeline, and I think firms smaller, larger, medium size, think of that in different ways, right? And how they build community, within their prospect list or their market, as well as within their customer base. Like, how do you guys think about
that? Building community, you mean?
Just in terms of how do you leverage network marketing, right, to
Right.
actually drive brand awareness?
We try to partner with other either software brands, companies in the space, law schools. We just try to partner with them to create either content or events or something that people will find useful, and they'll want to come back and learn more and continue the conversation. So it could be webinars, it could be an event that's sort of like a smaller, more intimate event off of a conference. And just to sort of like training sessions. We just recently did a training session for our existing law school customers. And it was a chance to show them some of the new features that they may not be using, a way to show them how to do things more efficiently. So they found that really helpful. It was very well attended. We had a lot of great questions. And I think that really helped them feel like we cared about them using the platform to their fullest extent. So I think helping them along the journey is really important.
And are there other forums that you guys participate in order to build your brand within the sort of the law firm community or the executive search community?
Yeah, so we're involved with two groups pretty heavily. NELSC, which is, oh God, don't ask me what it is. NELSC and NELSC. legal professional. Let me look it up. Sorry, because we just call it NELP all the time. So
It's very catchy acronyms.
I know, and you know what? It's funny because whenever I'm doing something for an event for one of them, I'm always like, I don't know which one is it. So NALSC is National Association of Legal Search Consultants, and then NALP is, I believe, National Association of for Law Placement. So those are two associations that we do a lot with. We've also been involved with LMA, which is Legal Marketing Association. I do know what that one stands for. And just trying to get more involved in doing webinars, thought leadership, stuff like that with them.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So in a small organization like yours, how many employees total are there?
We have 10 full-time employees. We
10
have
full-time employees,
engineers and stuff that are, over in Europe, but yeah.
So that's got its, you're working in a company that size has its benefits and has its challenges, right?
Right. Right.
The challenges obviously, are, you have to really roll up your sleeves, right, in your role, and everybody does, right, to get the job done. But also, there's, probably big dynamics, right, on the team, right, that always, are one, new person away, right, from changing, right, on a daily basis. So how long have you been at it? And like, tell me a little bit more about the company itself and sort of the culture.
Yeah, sure. So, Firm Prospects has been around since 2015. I came on last July, so almost a year. And since when I started there, I think they had just hired a couple, like maybe one or two other people. So it was about 9 then. And we were still waiting for Jeff to come on. So we didn't have that VP of sales. So, it was quieter then because we were just kind of like waiting to really ramp things up when he came. But we had to wait a little bit. So once he came on board, we were able to really kind of hit the ground running with our other go-to-market strategy. So what else?
And that was when? How long ago was that?
He came on in the fall. I want to say November.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's pretty new, right, in terms of like the actual go-to-market engine operating. So have you experienced some bumps along the way?
I have. It is hard when, you come on and you're the marketing person, but the company's been around since 2015 and things were being done previously, either by, just people picking up the slack or, our CEO is working on things. So it can be a challenge to sort of say, hey, okay, give it to me now. I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
So that's, and I think that can be a challenge in a lot of workplaces, but especially such a small company where, 1 or 2 people are used to doing everything. And then as people are added, giving up that control is really hard.
Yeah. And do you guys have some pretty aggressive growth goals?
We do. I think we were trying to, I'd have to look at the numbers, but I haven't seen them since probably January. We were looking to grow by, revenue wise, I believe 20 to 30%. So,
well,
okay. I think we're getting there. It really helps when you have a solid go-to-market team. Cause they're really, the sales guys are really focusing on those goals. So it is helpful.
Yeah. You've only really had 2 full quarters, I guess, right? Quarter 4 of last year and Q1.
Right.
So that's not much of a sort of a track record, I guess, right? To be able to predict the future,
Exactly.
which is, I would think all by itself a challenge, right? So how do you kind of forecast your growth? Think about how you're going to kind of add to the team, I assume, as you start to get larger, on the marketing side and on the sales side. And then do you have, customer success, or like, how do you handle, the renewals of customers, et cetera?
Yes, we actually do have someone who works on customer success, and she handles the renewals. She was previously more on the data side, but now she's transitioning over. So that's great. Her name's Terry. She's awesome. But that's also great because she really knows the platform. She can help people, if they're having issues and they're kind of on the fence about renewing, she can kind of walk them through that. So I did forget to mention her on the go-to-market side.
Well, So my background is in customer success, I guess.
Okay.
If you go all the way back, and we're always sort of like the orphan, right, in the go to market
Mhm.
conversation. But that's changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
Now that sort of retaining and growing customers is
Mhm.
actually from a CAC perspective, you think about
Yeah.
it, cheaper, right, than
Yeah.
new business acquisition. So a
Absolutely.
lot of SaaS companies are really leaning into that part of their growth model. You guys are just kind of starting out. You haven't really even hit your first set of renewals yet, I guess, right? In reality,
Oh, we've had renewals.
you have. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, because we've been around for so long. I mean, this the process has been in place. It just hasn't been
Uh,
with such gusto because we didn't have
right.
like the full sales team. But yeah, I mean, our renewal we do have the renewal cycle set up.
And is there a way to grow customers as well, right? So increase ARR on for adding new modules or just seats, or
Mhm.
how do you guys kind of price?
Yeah, we would add seats. So
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of our growth module currently. We are adding new features. I don't know what that'll look like because those are still in development and how that'll work in terms of marketing. Um, so that's sort of still TBD.
So what are some of the initiatives that you have either on your plate that you're committed to, right, as to support the growth model, or in your mind, things that you want to try to get to, that you
Mhm.
may or may not have the time to do it. Like what are the things that you're going to tackle next?
I'd really like to tackle some like more of the paid advertising. So at previous roles, I had somebody that I outsourced it to, which was great. But I need to get it started. There are things I need to just kind of sit down with and set up and really go through and find our targets that I just don't always have time to do because I'm focused on other content things or helping the sales team with some enablement pieces or setting up webinars or whatever those other things are. So yeah, just having the time to sit down and set up properly certain things sometimes just kind of keeps getting pushed to the side.
Yeah, I would imagine you're just context switching all day long.
Mm. Oh
I
yeah.
guess I guess everybody is, but when you're a team of one, it's probably even more challenging, to keep your focus and get the things done every day that you need to.
Yeah.
Um, so when you think about going into the paid advertising realm, do you have a kind of a strategy already, or what are the vectors that you're planning to go down?
Yeah, I mean, I have a basic strategy that I want to look into and focus on some of the different groups. Not, I don't know how involved you want me to get into it. So, I mean, yeah, I would like to focus on some of our folks who haven't engaged in some of our other channels, like via email. They're just, email's tough because we've got spam filters. People just are getting bombarded with email. So it's not something you can just solely rely on. And that's another sort of challenge that I've had
Hmm.
is driving that home. Like you just email is great, but we can't just email because we're
Yeah.
just, how many emails a day I delete without even like looking at them.
Hmm.
And I may be missing some great stuff, but I just don't have time. So I think trying to take some of those folks and engage with them through advertising and offer them some content that they might be missing through our email is kind of where I'm going right now.
Okay. Yeah. And you've already got sort of I'll call it a Martech stack,
Mhm.
technology stack that you're leveraging. How is it composed?
Well, the main CRM that we use is HubSpot. I'm a
Okay.
huge HubSpot fan. Um, so we go through that for our paid customers, our law firms, our search firms, the things that the sales guys are using. And then for the other accounts, the B2C accounts, I'm using other tools. I'm looking at Constant Contact now for
Mm.
email marketing, just trying some different things out. And I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I'm heavily in HubSpot like most of the time.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what else is
So
in.
you host your website through HubSpot.
No, that's through WordPress.
Oh, that's your WordPress.
Yeah,
Okay.
the landing pages do go through HubSpot.
Okay.
So any of the gated content goes through that. And then reports and things I'm using, like I said, Adobe Create Suite, and then putting those in. I'm trying to think what else we're using. Like my mind is like, obviously we're using AI, ChatGPT. Like I said, Canva for some of those easier things. But generally speaking, I'm using HubSpot probably 85% of the day.
Okay. And so you're doing a lot of content, you're monitoring your SEO, I'm sure. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how do you see AI? I mean, talk about AI changing the way you work, right? And being sort of a lever for content creation. I think that's what most people are at least starting with.
Right.
How are you thinking about it in terms of the way the marketing world is changing, and how it affects, content marketing, for example? I mean, is it changing kind of the dynamics, right, of how
Mhm.
you generate leads?
I think it is because it's sort of like, I noticed this. I was like, no, we don't have people don't have assistants anymore. I mean, at these type of companies, we don't have assistants. My CEO doesn't have an assistant. At my last job,
Mhm.
my CEO didn't have an assistant. So it's kind of become your assistant. You're like, I need this. Help me with it.
Yes.
And it doesn't give you everything you want on the first try by any means. It definitely requires prompting and editing, and you really need to know the strategy behind what you want. You can't just say, give me a strategy, because there's a lot of stuff that comes up that doesn't make sense, isn't going to work for your company.
Yeah.
But it is a great way to sort of organize your thoughts and just put things down. And like I said, it's like having an assistant basically. But
Yeah. I mean, some people are able to actually sort of turn it loose, right, on content creation and have the
Mhm.
the agent actually kind of run a certain amount of their content strategy in a way. Uh,
Mhm.
well, at least that's some of the things that I've been hearing, from marketing leaders. And the other concern that I've heard is that Google search, right, is declining, right, in terms of the number of clicks, right, that you're able to get, because people are using AI, right, or an AI
Right.
agent, right, for a search, which is keeping them from the traditional path to leads, through
Right.
through Google search. And obviously marketers will now start spending less money on that,
Mhm.
and need to figure out how to pivot that spend, right, to something else, right, that's going to replace that that lead source. Are you guys thinking about that at all, or
Um, Not so much the Google search stuff, the paid search more. I mean, organic we'll continue to work with. We're very heavily on LinkedIn, and we do get a lot of engagement from LinkedIn, so that's sort of more where our focus is anyway. Um, every once in a while, we can find some things on Reddit as well, but again, like,
Mm,
sort of a Google thing. But Reddit, anytime you ask a question on Google, there's at least in the top 5 things that come up, there's a Reddit post. So,
yeah, there must be some pretty good concentrated Reddit groups in your ICP, I would think.
there are. Some of them are a little. Some of them are like law lawyers, or just complaining about their jobs. Why did I go into law? And why? Those are kind of fun to read sometimes when you're
Yep.
just like go down a rabbit hole. But yeah, there's a lot of good information in there.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot more about Reddit as a place to generate demand, right? As kind of equal to some of the other social media um, capabilities. Reddit has really sort of risen to the top, right? And I don't know if
Yeah.
it's the algorithm that's different, or just the types of users or the way it's organized, but it does seem to be becoming more popular, at
Yeah.
least
And
thus
there's
far.
a lot of content in there because people are constantly,
Yeah,
asking questions and answering questions and upvoting. And so it's very active.
yeah. I
Mhm.
I don't ever use Reddit at all.
I didn't for a long time. I was scared of
Yeah.
it. At some jobs, people were very aggressive depending on the industry in Reddit. So I just be like and walk away, but I've gotten more comfortable with it over the last probably 2 years.
Yeah, interesting. I thought it used to be just for like nerds, and
Yeah,
gamers and software developers, but it's definitely different now,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
definitely.
So I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about your nonprofit. You have two hats that you wear. It sounds like the second hat is a fairly significant one. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. One second, my daughter. Beck, I'm on a call. Summertime.
The home
Yes.
office.
Huh?
The home office.
So many hats. Anyway, yeah. So I'm the executive director of a nonprofit. It's called FEI. It's the Boston chapter. It's Financial Executives International, and it's really a nonprofit based for senior level finance leaders, so CFOs, controllers, VPs of finance, that sort of thing. And I manage the day-to-day operations, marketing, programming, events. I assist with the committees. We've got like 4 committees who do like membership, partners, programming, future leaders. So
Okay.
it's a lot. I mean, nonprofits are also sort of, wear a lot of hats. But it's great. It's a very engaged network, which makes it easier because people really want to be there. They want to be involved. They want to be helping out. So I'm able to do it part-time because I have that level of engagement from the members.
Yeah. And how many members are you at?
The Boston chapter is just over 300.
Okay. So how long have you been doing that?
Well, I was with them about 12 years ago in a different capacity. And then I left, and then I came back in this role in December, so right before Christmas.
Oh, okay. So you're running basically the Boston chapter of the group. Okay. So what's the membership sort of a growth trajectory been like for you? Is it still growing fast or?
It's still growing. It's been about the same over the last year. We do have some goals for next year, which we haven't finalized yet. We do want to grow membership though. And in terms of the national organization, we are the second largest chapter. So, okay. We're doing pretty well. I think Dallas is number 1, but everything's bigger in Texas.
It's not fair. They have more people.
I know they do. But yeah, so I don't know specifically. That's something that the membership committee and I are still working on. But yeah, we definitely have a goal to increase membership.
Interesting. And how much time do you think you spend on that per week?
Probably about 10 to 15 hours on average. It could be more if we have an event. Those are in the evening, so that that takes up obviously more time with preparation and attending and post-event stuff. So yeah, I mean, it can be anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, it's sounds like it's interesting and fun, but also I'm sure very challenging from a time management perspective to try to handle everything.
It is, yes. I think the biggest challenge that I've faced more recently is, we've got all these great leaders with all these great ideas, but it's almost like, okay, we've got all these great ideas, but we need to like push through on some of them, so we can get hung up there. But it's easy to just say, come on guys, gotta just take an action, but and it's really, and it's only a problem because we have so many thought leaders with such great ideas, so I guess it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, no, I guess these nonprofits can be famously challenging from a a management and an organization perspective. Everyone's volunteers for the most part.
Right.
Yeah, so they want to get their 2 cents in for sure. But it's great to have like people who are committed, right? To these.
They're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And engaged that it's like it's not a problem. It's just something we need to kind of nudge them along. Yeah.
So as you look across the all of the things all the balls that you're trying to keep in the air, what's the 1 or 2 things that keep you awake at night?
Honestly, it's usually something really random and small. It'll be some little detail that I'm like, did I do that? It's not any really big thing unless there's some major event going on or or some really big campaign that might keep me awake. But in general, it'll just be some small, like, did I remember to do that? And I think that's just because I'm wearing all of these hats, and
Mm.
as organized as I am, you're always kind of like, oh, did I forget that? Oh, I got, don't forget to do that today. Like, or you'll just think of a strategy in the middle of the night and you'll be like, oh, I got to remember that until morning. Stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So what any advice that you would give, a young marketer who's going into software, right,
Oh,
as a career path?
sure. I mean, being organized is key. Um, that is going to help you do more with less. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it's really important to have the strategy part of it and not just, doing things. And because, AI is taking over a lot of marketing roles because,
Hmm.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had someone say, oh, well, AI can do that. Well, AI can do that. Like in terms of marketing things. Um, so, it's really important to be able to drive the AI and understand that if you want to, continue in marketing.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think marketing organizations, I don't want to say are in a crisis, but are going through a transformation, right? And AI is a driver for sure. The technology space itself, right, has had some rough years, right, over the
Mhm.
past 3 years, and I think that's creating a lot of transformation in terms of the way people are thinking about the business and how they think about generating demand and pipeline, and the different roles that people play. And the CMO or the marketing leader can wear a lot of hats or can wear a few hats, right, based upon kind of the definition of their role. And it does vary quite a bit when you go from organization to organization. Good advice. It's always good to keep your head on a swivel, right, when you're thinking about the future with AI. All good thoughts, and I really appreciate your time today, Michelle. Great insights. Thank you again for being an early adopter and a pioneer on margins and
Absolutely.
mandates. And we'll stay in touch.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Michelle. Bye.
Bye.